afternoon, everyone. It is Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. It is 1:04 in the afternoon. This is a meeting of the Town of Fort Myers Beach Cultural and Environmental Learning Center Advisory Board, and it is at Town Hall Chambers, probably for the last time, until we move to new Town Hall, perhaps?
This one will be the last one to go, so we'll see how long it can stay.
Oh.
I mean,
Okay,
where we're sitting isn't on a pickleball court per se like those are, so
okay. Well,
Gotcha.
it's big
until
enough.
further notice, we'll be meeting here, but we may be at the new Town
Yeah,
Hall
it's
by
kind of to
then.
be decided.
So I'd like to
Be
call
good.
this meeting to order, and please, let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I would like to recognize that Ellen has requested to be on Zoom to participate in this meeting. And do we have a consensus from our board that we can allow her to participate virtually?
Yeah.
Yes.
All in favor? Okay,
Aye.
consensus has been reached, thank you. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you.
All right, we have roll call beginning with Jeff.
Jeff Hauge, from Beach.
Adam Knight.
Betty Simpson,
Barbara Hill
Sherry Smith.
Carolyn McCowan.
Ellen Vaughn,
and Ellen Ball.
via Zoom.
And we have the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes that were emailed to us by Adam?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Any
Yes.
changes or
Mhm.
amendments?
I'd move the approval of the minutes
All
from
right.
April 24th, 2025.
And Carolyn is seconding that, and any additions or changes? There being none, vote to approve? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none? Okay, motion carried, thank you. So we have no public here to comment. We'll move on to staff report.
Oh, great.
I'm
Yes.
going as fast as I
No
can.
worries.
She's saving you time.
Okay, things are
Good.
great at Mound House. So, before you on the page with the various columns is a breakdown of the numbers in terms of visitation, as well as the one exception being merchandise revenue for the museum store. As you can tell, numbers are holding up pretty well. We're actually up slightly from April this time, which was last month, for May 1st through May 21st.
Which is unusual because season was
is.
over.
I was trying to figure it out. Mostly it has to do with our, we've had a lot of field trips.
Okay.
So that might
Good.
explain
Good.
that elevation
Wonderful.
in numbers. So they're actually here today and yesterday, Osceola Elementary School.
Yeah,
Um,
schools,
Good.
Yes,
field trips, I remember those.
yes, the last 2 weeks, the kids are paying really close attention. No, but Ashley and Franklin are doing amazing work there. And so our events are good. I've been doing a lot of outreach, especially with the Southwest Florida Attractions Expo, the Rock the Arches Cinco de Mayo Festival on San Carlos Island. Unfortunately, I don't have the membership numbers for you, but I'll have that for you next meeting. Merchandise is actually holding steady as well as visitation. Might be some correlation there.
Wait, are you on page 2?
Yeah.
Bottom of page 1, merchandise
Oh,
revenue.
there's the okay, at the very bottom, yes,
So we've
okay,
exceeded
good.
over $1,000 in sales for the month of, or for the first 21 days of May.
That's actually quite
That's
good.
good.
Quite good.
That's good.
For the fiscal year, we've made $8,552.21. So
How much for the previous?
for the fiscal year, it's at the bottom, $8,552.21 in revenue for the museum store merchandise. So that's not programs or
Right, it's just
admissions.
specifically the museum store.
Merchandise
Yeah.
items, exactly.
With the field trips, do we sell quite a bit of, the little kits and things we have? Are those,
Not that I know of.
no?
But typically the kids will come with some money and purchase little,
Yeah. Little doodads?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's part of a field trip.
Yeah, you bet, you bet. Okay, thanks.
Everybody likes those.
Yes. On page 2, we had no rentals. Social media outreach is holding strong. Increase in followers, pretty drastic increase in followers overall for May, the first 21 days. Marketing is going strong. the continuation of those the digital marketing initiatives through Expedia, TripAdvisor, and then some things of note. The last two meetings, I won't get into it because it's not an agenda item, but and I don't have a lot of information, of which I'll have more detailed information regarding the underground exhibit next meeting. I'll have a more comprehensive report for y'all, including timelines, numbers, those kind of things. So I don't want to speculate on a lot of things, but if you have any questions, please, I'll try my best.
Can we, I'm sorry, we skipped over the marketing pretty much
Oh,
really
yeah.
quickly, and I just had a question.
Mhm.
Cause you had this Valpak direct marketers, I know, marketing and the mailers, and I know that that was something you were very excited about when it was first proposed, what, 2 years ago, I think, or a year and a half ago or something?
This is the second
Second-
season
so
we've been
it
doing.
was 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago now.
So, what was your rationale for our doing these mailers, and what was our cost of being involved? Because that's actually a print publication, right?
It is. Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers of how much it cost, but we have seen a notable increase. We've been targeting areas that typically would not, or areas that we thought had, or not thought, areas that we knew through Valpak's marketing data of households, which had high concentrations of families with young children.
Okay.
Especially, we were really targeting at first, last fiscal year, we were targeting the Iona area and the southeast Cape Coral area, but Cape Coral has grown so much, they've actually broken Cape Coral up into 5 districts and not 4. So we're doing southeast Cape Coral and south central Cape Coral. So that's a very high concentration of new family home construction, a lot of new families moving there. So a lot of marketing there. So just another way to get people in through the door.
And how do you know how effective those mailers are?
Because there is a coupon that they bring
Okay,
in, and so
so-
they have to bring the proof and have that coupon on them to get a to buy one get one free adult admission.
And it's working?
Okay.
Yes, pretty well.
Okay,
Decent.
thank you.
Decent. Not blowing through the doors. We're stopping for summertime, just so we can allocate the remaining marketing money that we have through the end of the fiscal year, probably for promotional materials for our outreach especially. We've hit a lot of people through outreach, and we've noticed a lot of people just from anecdotal information of people hearing about Mound House through all the outreach events we've been doing. So word of mouth, very powerful force. So we started allocating the remaining marketing money we have left for this fiscal year into promotional material and things like word searches, buttons, bags, koozies with the Mound House logo with our address and key information.
Are you going to be doing the we don't have them already,
Mhm,
right?
we do.
We do?
Yeah. If you
Oh, I have to get one.
anyone stop by Mound House, I'll give you a koozie, a button, a tote bag. Supplies
Oh, I-
while last.
Is that what you're talking about, the swag? Is it-
Yeah, the
Yes.
swag,
Right.
the
Swag.
swag, that's our swag.
What?
Definitely.
We'll be there.
We actually have a button maker we purchased, so we actually make our own in-house buttons.
Okay,
Oh.
awesome.
I don't know what they're called,
Nice.
but they're the circular buttons that you'd see in like a campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They usually will have the Mound House logo with a trowel, and it says Mound House, I dig it, and cute
Oh,
things like
that's
that.
cute. I like that.
Okay, thank you for answering my question.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was
No
just
worries.
curious.
So yes, so the underground exhibit, previously I had discussed applying for a small matching grant through the state of Florida. For reasons I can get into in more detail with that report that's forthcoming, we don't qualify for that small matching grant for the purposes of the exhibit. That grant is specifically reserved for historic resources. And as the Shell Mound exhibit is an exhibit and not a historic resource, it does not
It's not
qualify.
eligible.
Exactly. I'm still, still looking for grants, state, federal, private, but I have an ulterior path that we're working on and formalizing that I'll share at next meeting,
Okay.
on a path forward for preserving the Shell Mound.
That's good news.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Speaking
Yes.
of the underground exhibit, we went ahead and contracted the industrial hygienist to inspect the underground exhibit. They did find 3 types of harmful mold inside the underground exhibit, which we are currently working with companies for a mitigation protocol as well as a remediation plan to sanitize the air and the HVAC system of the underground exhibit. So that will be forthcoming as well in the report, but that's all the information I have so far. That should be scheduled by the time we meet next in June. As I said, working on that comprehensive report, expected next CELCAB meeting on steps to preserve the shell mound exhibit, or to preserve the shell mound, as it says in the report. We had some new.
That's the shell mound in its entirety,
Yes.
not just the underground exhibit.
Exactly. Yes, a more holistic view of the situation and some of the challenges. And so next we had some great landscaping installed. New landscaping's been installed alongside the observation pier. So if you enter to the mound house through the Shell Loop Drive, alongside the kayak shed where the mural has been temporarily placed while the work in the underground moves forward, that area right there that was heavily affected by the storm surge from Helene and Milton, we replaced it with new landscaping, all extremely salt tolerant. So hopefully it will be well established, fingers crossed, that there will be no storms or future flooding this year, but
So
we are
say we
prepared.
all.
But we are
Okay.
prepared, you know.
The dune sunflowers, how do the landscapers feel about the durability of the dune sunflowers given the storm surges? There are two ways of thinking about that. One is that they do recede and they come back nicely, but when a storm comes through, such as we've had over the last several years, they actually fully die out.
So at the Mound House property, if you visit now, I can't speak for the landscapers, I'm not a horticulturalist, but just based on what I've observed and what staff have observed at Mound House, I don't think we have any dune sunflowers left. Maybe it was a mixture of the 3 flood events that we had within a month of each other, with Debbie, Helene, and Milton flooding those lower areas. And then the remaining survivors, especially at the top part of the shell mound, near where the pine tree is located, that little pine tree, and closer towards the path from the parking lot to the front entrance of the museum. Those remaining dune sunflowers and a couple others like the blanket flower, all the tropical sage, unfortunately they, even with intense watering, did not survive the current drought we're in.
Really?
Yes, so it's probably many factors, but from what I've seen, for this season, the dune sunflowers and the other perennials, or perennials in general, didn't make it so well in the lower levels, but on the upper part of the mound, unfortunately, the shell mound is not a very forgiving soil. Rich in alkaline, extremely well drained, not a lot of nutrients for a lot of plants, so the dune sunflower hasn't been holding up so well. So we've made note of that. The things that is holding up best right now with all the saltwater intrusion, the shell mound itself, and the extensive drought conditions we're going through have been the grasses, like the cord grass, muhly grass, as well as the prickly pear cactus. The gumbo limbo's holding up, the strangler figs are holding up, but the smaller flowers, not as good. So in the lower level, you notice we actually have some small some buttonwood mangrove planted as small shrubs. Well, decent sized shrubs, about 3 feet tall.
Silver buttonwood really holds up well in even submerged water, so I would think that storm surges are not going to affect the buttonwood.
Yes. So fingers crossed. We also removed a lot of the dead landscaping at the overflow parking lot located at 216 Connecticut Street, and basically we've removed the dead landscaping and mulched the area. Looks 100 times better than what it used to. And basically we've prepped the area so for next fiscal year when we get further funding from TDC for landscaping, we can use those funds to beautify 216 as well, in addition to a couple other spots in the Mound House property.
Any questions for Adam while he's going through this report? I don't want to wait till the end because maybe we'll forget, but I just want to touch base with everyone. Ellen, do you
Would
have
just like
any
to comment
questions?
that
Do you have any comments?
Adam, this is just a wonderful report. I mean, you're moving forward on so many fronts. Kudos to you and your team.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. we're moving forward. We're applying as the town for the attractions marketing grant through the VCD. So I'm working on that right now. The deadline for that is June 13th, so should have no problem with that. And it's submitting for this year. We're moving forward on getting logistics for the Mountain Key Boat Tour tentatively. The Wednesday after Memorial Day, we're doing a, what would you call it, like a mock tour with staff and the boat operator. And tentatively, based on conditions and everything else, to try and time it and see if we can get that 2-hour tour possible. It should work out. 30 minutes there, 45 minutes there, or 30 minutes to Mountain Key, 45 minutes spent at Mountain Key, and 30 minutes returning from Mountain Key with 15 minutes buffer zone. So hopefully that moves forward, and I'll have a pretty exciting update next CELCAB meeting regarding that.
And will that be terribly title dependent?
That is one of the things we're going to be figuring out.
Okay,
There's
gotcha.
been a lot of the soil's been moved, especially after the last hurricanes. But there is a captain we're working with who's very familiar with the Back Bay and the shifting sands and the tides. So
Okay,
not as much as it was in the past, but I'm sure
Okay.
it'll still be, especially with our area's unique irregular tide system that we have here.
right.
Has anyone been over on have you been to Mount Key? Is it cleared? I heard it was kind of a mess for a while.
I haven't. However, we have had some volunteers go on their own accord.
Mhm.
Roger, Leslie, they've kayaked.
Oh,
They're avid
okay.
kayakers.
Yeah.
So they've been out there. A couple times.
Okay.
And he said it's cleaned up and
Oh, good.
they didn't have a problem accessing it
Excellent.
via kayak.
Excellent.
Cleaned it up.
I'm assuming the state park
Must have
system.
been the
I was gonna
state.
say,
Well, that's
because
good.
there for years,
They
the state
wouldn't
didn't
touch
wanna
it.
have anything
Yeah.
to do with it.
Yeah, the state park system, Correction manages it directly. Of course, there's no facilities on Mountain Key State
Ah,
Park.
okay.
But the folks at Correction, they're doing a wonderful job.
Excellent.
Because for a while they were overseeing themselves, Lovers Key, Correction, I think Boca Grande, because a lot of facilities were destroyed with Milton. So they're doing a lot of great work. So it's fantastic that they're able to clear Mountain Key, even though it doesn't have as many visitors as others. So really
Great.
kudos to the Florida State
Oh,
Park system.
fantastic. That's
Yay, isn't
good
that
news.
wonderful? That's
That is
excellent,
great
yeah.
news.
Make sure they take mosquito spray though.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're working on some of those things. Maybe a VIP package.
Yeah,
package.
skin so soft or something. That's
Beef.
great, wonderful.
So we're excited about that. And then regarding the lecture series, we're actually moving forward. We're going to experiment and kind of start running a pilot program, especially in the fall, but we probably will continue it to be year-round to transition the lecture series, the Community Conversations series, into a purely virtual format with the traffic issues, especially in the evening, the continued displacement of residents,
Especially during season.
especially
Yeah,
during season, which,
season.
and then the high numbers of our seasonal residents who still want to be engaged with Mountain House. We really don't have anything that keeps our members engaged when they might go back up north or out west, wherever they're coming from.
Oh, right.
So kind of transitioning the lecture series, because currently our average attendance for the lecture series this fiscal year has been 8 people per lecture
Ooh.
series.
Ooh.
That's removing an outlier of 55 people during in January. That was with a rock star speaker,
Right.
Dr. Savarese, or excuse me, not Dr. Savarese. I don't know. I'm blanking on his name. In charge of the water school at FGCU.
Oh, yeah, the water.
Mike
supply.
Parsons. Excuse me.
I thought maybe that was the one you gave.
Oh no. No.
That rock
That was
star.
it.
Yes. Dr. Savarese and Dr. Parsons, both rock stars, but it just so happens that Parsons was the rock star performing
Yeah,
that night.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's all good. It was full.
So are you talking about when you're doing these virtual programs,
Mhm.
would that be something that even though they're not watching it live via Zoom, is that something they can access later on through our website?
Yeah, we're working on so maybe posting it on the town's YouTube channel, or making a Mountain House YouTube channel that can be used as both a recording mechanism, but also a way to save some of those videos.
Right, archive.
To archive them
Right.
so people
That'd be
can
good.
go back later, especially onboarding new volunteers or onboarding new staff, or just people who want to rewatch them and say, "Oh, this speaker said something. I want to
Mhm.
go back and listen to them." And just like we all can enjoy streaming today, we're all spoiled off it. Everyone has very complex schedules, especially amongst our residents here. With everything going on during all the recovery efforts. So we're hoping that this will kind of provide a new service to our residents, our members, and people around the world, which also will help us in a lot of speakers have turned us down because of the traffic. I think,
Mhm.
were you there, Barbara? Someone was here. One of our speakers got caught in traffic for the March lecture, and she actually didn't get to the property until about 15 minutes afterwards, after the lecture was supposed to
My
start.
God.
So I've had a couple speakers turn us down outright because of the traffic issues. A lot of people have canceled because of traffic.
Mhm.
I get calls
You
at
can drive.
6 o'clock. I live at Santini Plaza. I'm not making it.
Mhm.
I'm sitting
Exactly.
2 hours.
Same,
Exactly.
yeah.
So
It's
we're
still
hoping
the same.
that this will provide greater access for us to share our mission beyond an in-person format. Of course, we'll still have all those regular in-person things, but it'll give a virtual component and another option for people. And it gives us a better broad reach of speakers. So out-of-state speakers, and reaching out to speakers in Texas and Puerto Rico who can speak on the fields of archaeology more broadly and the fields of environmental science more broadly.
That's
So,
huge.
Be
That
great.
really
So-
is-
That'd be great.
so
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Indiana
yeah, Indiana Jones. No. I kid.
Get Harrison Ford, personally
Yeah, right.
Harrison.
Yes, that'd be quite the lecture.
Yes.
You never know.
And then, on a bittersweet note, one of our education coordinators, Franklin, he's actually turned in his notice. He gave advance notice. He turned in his notice. His last day will be June 14th. He's leaving us to pursue a PhD program. So we're very proud of Franklin for getting accepted to a very prestigious program and for continuing his education. But we'll be sorry to miss him. So we're working on drafting a job posting and putting that out soon. So there won't be too much of a disruption in operations, but it is summertime, so
Mhm.
should be a little bit slower. So yes, so bittersweet. Very proud of
That's a
Franklin,
loss.
but
Proud of him,
I
but
know, he's
yeah.
great. Everyone loves
Leaves a
him.
Yeah.
hole in the staff.
He will be sorely missed, but he's joining the alumni club. How's that?
he is.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe
That's
we'll be
good.
able to welcome him back one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dr.
yes,
Della
I hope
Cruz.
so.
You
Yes.
never know.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yes.
What is he pursuing his PhD in?
I don't have it on the top of my head. I know it is broadly cultural studies. I think I forgot the exact title. It's either it's African American studies, global black studies, something like that.
Okay.
I forgot the exact official title,
Good for him.
but it's broadly African diaspora
Yeah.
stories,
We'll
studies.
miss him.
So getting a PhD there.
And where is he going?
Austin?
Can't remember.
Oh, I know where. I don't think he would like me to
Oh, sure,
share,
of course.
just
Oh.
because it's a public meeting for his own privacy.
Sure.
Okay.
And that's it.
He's an amazing young man.
Yes, he is. We'll
Yes.
miss him.
Uh,
And also, too, I'd like to say how impressed I am with Brianna. Oh,
Yes.
she is just a gem. So that's really, I think, going to add a nice aspect to the Mount House.
Yeah, we're very, very fortunate to have such a great, committed,
Mhm,
passionate,
mhm.
well-educated team at
Mhm,
Mount House.
mhm,
Yeah.
Brianna,
Right.
Ashley,
Yeah.
Karina, Sandra.
It's a great team, and you've worked hard to
Yeah,
get
to
the
get 'em.
good people there, so,
You bet.
Oh, thank you.
yes, just moving forward.
Kudos to
trying
you.
Replace Franklin.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for the staff report.
You're welcome.
Let's move on to old business, the MAP program specifically. And I believe you all have the, information from last month's meeting. And of course, and I do want to be,
Thanks.
put on record that our meeting last month was unfortunately, canceled prematurely before we could get through our agenda because of technical issues. So a lot of the things that we were hoping to go through, and review and discuss, last month is now put on this month's agenda, so hence the old business, item.
Awesome. So we were kind of wrapping up over the last two meetings, the governance section, and I can feel free to go back. Again, this is discussion. We're eager for y'all's insight and opinions regarding the governance section. But overall, just to, because we have talked about it over the last two meetings, the previous one before the last, if that makes sense, the one before the last. But the governance, just to go over the recommendations as kind of a broad outline, and again, I can go back, or anyone can go back. The peer reviewer recommends in the organizational assessment for Mound House, under governance, to quote, add additional members that have educational, nonprofit, or museum backgrounds to the Cultural Environmental Learning Center Advisory Board. The three stakeholders, Town Council, the Cultural Environmental Learning Center Advisory Board, and the Friends of Mound House, need to visit with staff members regularly to fully understand the challenges that they are facing and find solutions that will allow Mound House to thrive. And lastly, the last recommendation from this section is the Cultural and Environmental Learning Center Advisory Board and the Friends of Mound House should represent a larger community, diversify, and attract new audiences who will advocate in the future for the Mound House. Any questions, comments you have for me, or?
I think maybe, Ellen, might you, because you're president of Friends, do you want to speak to the changes that have been made at your board leadership level?
Right. Well, we're in process, and to be honest, we were slowed down. I haven't been able to accomplish anything since the 1st of May. But the plan is to basically not divest, to have no member of the leadership of the Friends of the Mound House also serve on CELCAB.
Correct.
We're in the process of doing that. The one remaining holdup is me, and I have to figure that one out yet. But that should give us a broader range of peoples to be involved, and hopefully more about that in June.
Okay, but you did make some very important changes by already eliminating that duplicate member.
Correct. I guess to fully explain this. So all of the board members of the Friends of the Mound House, who also have served on CELCAB, have resigned their positions, and we have been able to fill those positions with the exception of the presidency. So we're in the process of trying to figure that one out. And, whether I stay with CELCAB or I stay with the Friends is to be determined, but that's the remaining hang up. And to be honest, that was my goal for the month of May, but the month of May kind of got, so that will now be June's activities.
Understood, but, so that means that I believe it's Betty and Sherry and Carolyn, all of whom were Friends board members, are no longer Friends board members.
That's
So
right.
there's no conflict here at all,
Correct.
with the exception now of Ellen. And
Me.
so at the appropriate time, you'll make your decision. I suspect you've already met with Nancy, our legal.
Yes, and that, well, I would like to meet with Nancy again, because I had presented this idea of being basically, I'm not sure what the right terminology would be, but to be as a non-voting member of CELCAB, or however it winds up being structured. Oh, and to be honest, I also think that the Friends of the Mound House needs fresh blood too. There hasn't been that many actively involved to just kind of step and say, well, I'll be the next president. So that's something that has to be massaged. So it's going to go in one of two directions, and that's to be determined. And as I said, I'm hopeful that I can get it resolved in June. But given that this is a slow time of year, it may take a little bit longer than that. But I will make sure that I do touch base with Nancy so she knows where we're headed on that. So what I will say that what we have done is we have shrunk the board. The board is now 5 members, and Mike Hughes actually said we can legally get by with having 3 members of the board. So we have some wiggle room. I think our big saving grace is when Mike used this, a volunteer to step up and take the role of secretary. So not only would he be the official secretary to the Friends of the Mountain House, but as our long-standing legal advisor, who will just be, he's a godsend to have on board. So I think we're moving forward. We have a good path forward.
Will,
Thank you.
will a liaison position continue?
We did
Between-
have,
We
we
did
did
for-
have Bill Grace as our historic
Advisor.
advisor, as a non-voting member, sort of because of his obvious direct involvement
Exactly.
with the Mount House. He became not a member of CELCAB, but was a historic advisor. That's the only time we've ever had an instance where you weren't a full voting member. And I don't know if there's anything legal with regard to a liaison, other than the one that we have with Jim Adderholt, for example, who is our, council vice chair, who serves as our council liaison. Again, a non-voting position. So, what I'm hearing you say is you would like to consider a non-voting liaison as a board person, maybe it doesn't even have to be the president, of Friends, as a connector. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Well, give it some
However,
thought.
who are you asking that question of? Me or Carolyn or whom?
Yeah.
No, I'm asking that of you, Ellen.
So I think that would probably be a reasonable approach. I know that having had conversations during these meetings with Jim Adderholt, he feels that there needs to be a direct connection. If we want to keep the communications flowing well, the communication between CELCAB and Friends of the Mountain House needs to be strong. And it would be strong if there was non-voting representation on CELCAB from Friends of the Mountain House. Sitting sitting at the table rather than just presenting a report. I think that the nature of just presenting a report, which had been the case before I became a member of CELCAB, makes a significant difference in the way that a person feels that they can participate. But I certainly will talk with Nancy about that and then share that.
So I think what we're hearing is that there have been strides made with the issue of streamlining the governance challenge, governance challenge.
Yes, yes.
So thank you, Ellen, for that. I really appreciate it. That certainly clears up some of the confusion that we've had, and so I think we're on the right path.
Yes, huge strides. I just want to thank you all for taking those recommendations in such stride and moving so quickly, especially with everything, to steal Ellen's phrasing, during our snow globe years, where pandemics, 5 hurricanes to restructure. I don't think another group would have been able to do it as quickly or as well as y'all have.
It's a
Thanks.
resilient group.
It is.
Yeah.
So kudos to y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Agreed. Okay, so, as far as the governance, is there anything else that you think, Adam, that we aren't addressing appropriately given what we've been able to accomplish over the last several months since this report came out, with regard to governance, or should we just move on?
I think we've addressed everything with governance, and of course we'll, hopefully in terms of future agenda items, whenever we get to it, technical difficulties, with the exception, hopefully, when we're done with this, we'll have another meeting just to go over the whole document and summarize some of the recommendations, and go forward with, some board actions on, recommending those policies if need be, implemented, or rewording of ordinances if need be, things like that the board could recommend to council.
Okay. And I think also, the further clarification of the role of each entity, both CELCAB and Friends, with regard to moving forward in the next year, what is the role of? And being very clear about what that entails.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
That's all I have. If we wanted to move to the next agenda, I guess sub-agenda item, the public trust and
Okay, the
accountability.
public trust and accountability, that sort of part of the governance issue?
It is a separate it is a separate section in the map report. It's on page 15
Okay.
of the map report in the section Public Trust and Accountability. And it kind of segues well into the previous discussion regarding the Friends and CELCAB involvement and kind of that, you know, the public trust and the legal issues regarding the Sunshine Law, making sure members of CELCAB are not meeting with each other outside, discussing board actional items that could appear on CELCAB's agenda, and kind of what we were already discussing, separating some of that confusion and elaborating how best the different stakeholders can walk best in lockstep with each other rather than stepping on toes or crossing into paths. So that's done quite well. And with anything, I'm sure Sunshine Law will continue being a continued point of for all advisor boards, the council, everyone. It is law. And then he moves into the strategic plan. So currently, I don't know if it's technical or technically not, Mountain House has a strategic plan, but it hasn't been updated since 2022.
As we are painfully aware.
Yes. Yes.
Right
And
here.
it's not for the lack of trying,
Exactly.
am I right?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but I
exactly.
just
No,
had
no.
to put that in.
No, I was
Yeah.
gonna add.
Because we didn't
Yes.
do our best to be diligent about updating it. but-
2022 was
Exactly.
a rough year. To
Yes.
Yes, it
We were,
was.
we were
Which year?
dealing with
Well,
survival
Sure.
issues.
They've all been.
22, 23,
Yep.
24.
Not to even mention the pandemic, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the strategic plan, maybe in a future board item when we're done with the map, we'll have a better roadmap to start working on and discussing the strategic plan. But in terms of the Dr. Scott Neal's recommendations, he said the staff should be the ones writing the documents with assistance from all three stakeholders, so council members, CELCAB members,
And friends.
friends members, and then submitting that as a document, of course, separate meetings.
Definitely.
Yes, exactly, totally separate meetings.
I'll be traveling a lot. You guys don't have to go anywhere. That's the good news. But, you know, Jeff and I working in writing this, and the staff at Mountain House writing this concerning especially the different areas of expertise in collection.
And this was always done by staff
Mhm.
in any
Mhm.
event. I mean, the strategic
Right.
plan was discussed in advance about, you know, brainstorming and ideas and short and long-term goals.
Mhm.
But ultimately, it was either Teresa or Allison that
Mhm.
actually, no,
Did that.
we didn't have a strategic plan when we had Teresa. It was all
It
through
was all,
Allison.
yeah, it was
All through
Allison.
Mhm.
But Allison was the one responsible for
Yeah.
putting the document together. So there's no change there.
Yep. And so that should really clear up our path forward. And of course, we'll bring it to CELCAB, we'll discuss it, make any edits, clarifications for that long-term planning. You know, strategic plans, typically 3-5 year documents, living documents. He also recommends that whenever we update, that if we achieve a goal, we should remove it from the strategic plan, so it's a little bit clearer that the goal
Oh.
is in fact accomplished. And again, we can get into the more the weeds of what makes a good strategic plan. There's a bunch of books. I can share resources that AM has provided on this specific matter,
Great.
so we can have really productive discussions when that comes up. So he recommends
And you're saying to do that after we complete the map?
that would be my recommendation.
Okay,
So we'll have the map done, and
That's good.
as a good roadmap based on, you know, those decisions and
Good idea.
policies. We'll already be moving forward if, like, for example, the role of CELCAB needs to be clarified under a town ordinance. Of course, maybe CELCAB needs or believes that, you know, this should be in the ordinance, this should not be in the ordinance, to better clarify some of those rules, especially for new members, so that that can be implemented by council. Any ordinances are changed. Just for example, not saying ordinances have to be changed, but just as an example for the path forward. And then once that's all settled, those mechanisms are in place, then that would be my recommendation to the board, to then have staff work on a strategic plan to submit it as a item for review for CELCAB and then council.
Yeah, and just as we're talking, and we talked about this in CELCAB yesterday, is the town's doing their own strategic planning.
Yes.
And we had, in CELCAB, we were kind of saying maybe we should wait a little bit until the town has
Good point.
solidified theirs.
Well,
So-
I think the intent was, while they are solidifying theirs, that we have input
Correct.
from both CELCAB and BORCAB with regard to, you know, what you might wanna consider as you're doing a town strategic plan that will then guide our specific
Exactly.
strategic.
So that's why I mean, I said it at CELCAB yesterday, I think I'm encouraging you all to be part of like the community
Yes.
planning, on next Wednesday,
Mhm.
at Bay Oaks. It starts at 5 o'clock, I believe.
Yeah.
On the 28th is one of our community, sessions, to gain input as far as the residents go. So I think it's important for our advisory boards that have strategic plans as well to be involved in those conversations and just at least be aware of them. Obviously, if you can't make it, you can't make it, but I think we should definitely be aware of what's going on at those community planning
You
meetings.
said Bay Oaks?
Bay Oaks, correct.
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Yeah, if you know anyone who's really passionate about Mount House, bring them along.
Yes,
have-
absolutely.
So Mount House
Mhm.
is well
Absolutely. Yep.
included.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sure all the properties are well included, but I'm a
I'm
little
sorry.
I'm
I
a
gotta correct that, it's 5:01
5:01 p.m.
PM.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
We have to do it at 5:01.
So that-
It's for something with, we have to have it
Somebody
after
that-
5 o'clock,
The gallery.
Oh,
as part of the bylaws, and it has to be like 5:01.
Sounds
Same, it's
perfect,
similar
yeah.
to our like budget discussions, it has to always be 5:01, so.
So Jeff, what is the official title of that session?
Strategic planning,
Okay.
community forum 1, there'll be 2 of them, I don't remember when the second one's June 12th, at 5:01 at Bay Oaks as well, so May 28th at 5:01 at Bay Oaks, and June 12th is the second community forum, at 5:01 at Bay Oaks as well, in the gym.
okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And so, your report then, Adam, with regard to old business is done for this month.
Yeah, I think there's just one last thing.
One last thing, okay.
So after the strategic plan, just looking forward, he also recommends for accreditation we have to go through a core document verification process through the American Alliance of Museums (AAM), which the strategic plan is one of those core documents that are required to be considered for accreditation. Another would be the collections management policy, which is, I believe, still tabled.
Yes, I was wondering about that.
It
I was
is.
about to ask, when is that gonna be an agenda item?
Probably after the strategic plan. I think that makes
That
sense.
far
Ooh,
in advance?
okay.
I think so, because the strategic plan is an all-encompassing, and collections is a part of strategic planning. So, one of the plan's goals could be approve these institutional documents, like the collection management policy. And the collection management policy is really really Brianna, but also all town staff's sword and shield in regards to safeguarding the collections and daily operations on what we can and cannot do under those policies and directions under best museum practices. So it would fit well to be taken after the planning session to think about, what's the future of our collections at the museum look like, and then maybe circle back to adopting those policies and procedures on how to implement those plans.
So that brings up an interesting question, because obviously, as the Mount House has a collection and is documenting and, providing the documents necessary to ensure that all the archives are current and appropriately identified, what happens to those items that come before the town as a donation, but not necessarily to the Mount House? Is this collection management policy sort of overreaching for the town, or does the town have its own collection policy?
We've been
There-
discussing this. So that's why I gave the thumbs up.
That is an excellent question. So the short answer is, to my knowledge, the town does not have a collection management policy, nor does Mount House have a collection management policy. We have a draft one that we have.
You distributed that, I remember.
Yes.
We have that in our documents.
Yes, and there were a few items brought before town council as a donation, not
Yes.
a monetary financial donation, but a donation of artistic, cultural, or historical significance. So more of a cultural value assigned to it rather than a financial value. In terms of cultural patrimony laws, and in terms of Florida has vague, as a layman, has vague cultural property laws, and that would obviously be a discussion with Nancy and the attorneys for the town about implementing the collection management policy, since it does discuss some complex issues such as custody, legal custody, and ensuring that, if something is donated to the town and Mound House, as Mound House is a town department, that it is the town's and the Mound House's, and so thus to do what the town judges to do with its material, but protected under the guise of it being that cultural value. And then there are some other laws, and especially ethics, that AAM has in regards to how to properly process things. So, for example, you're not allowed to sell paintings. A university museum in Indiana is in hot water right now for the university selling its museum's paintings to finance a freshman dormitory. A couple years ago, I think it was the Berkshire Museum up in Massachusetts sold a couple artworks to fund
the Berkshire,
operations.
Yeah.
Mm.
But then it was Brandeis University even had a bigger scandal.
Yes, so there's definitely some legal risk that would have to circle in, of course, the full council and, of course, the attorneys. But in a sense, again, because the Mound House is the town, it kind of is applied. So we're in those conversations on the staff level about the implementation of a policy and, who to contact. So the way I envision it, in the same way that the town has an environmentalist, Chad, anything environmental, call Chad. If there's anything cultural, if there's a donation, a bunch of, arrowheads left on the front step of town hall, they can call. Don't do that. Don't do it. Please don't. We have myself, we have Brianna, that's her whole job. She's hired by the town. She's a town employee. She's not just a Mound House employee. So we're here to serve the town and serve the residents in more than just at 451 Connecticut Street. We're here for the whole town. So that's the way I envision it.
As we were having a conversation with the town clerk about it, and it just came up as simple as, if somebody donates something to us and we don't claim ownership of it, and they may pass away and their grandkids want it back, it gets into a real sticky situation where there's not a chain of custody on that. So that's just another reason why we want to, do this, as well as putting in a cultural value on it.
That's good.
And there's virtually no policy with regard to pursuing a donation or accepting a donation, if it's either appropriate or not appropriate for the town. So, and who is the person who can, on behalf of the town, accept this donation?
The council accepts donations, so say we get a donation in,
But then it has to be it has to be a full council vote. In other words, one person from council can't say, oh, yeah, I'm so happy you're interested in donating that, right, it has to come before the vote
yeah,
to accept it.
yeah, if
Or
they,
not.
if they wanna deny it, if it's, if it's something that they don't feel is maybe, I don't know,
Appropriate,
appropriate or ethical, or whatever the reason may be, they can deny the donation.
or is it really bad?
Or it's really bad.
Very awkward.
So,
Very awkward.
so yeah, it always,
don't want
all
it.
of ours, either it's in the, it's usually in there in like a consent agenda kind of thing. If it's a big value, they'll actually pull it and vote on it. So it's usually accepted, or always accepted by council.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then so we're working on that, and hopefully that'll be forthcoming. And as well, the disaster preparedness and emergency response plan, we actually have one through the town. Mound House has a whole section in it, but we'll move forward with that. And then I think that is it. We already do an annual report to the town manager, so I can at the end of this fiscal year, I can also share that annual report with CELCAB as well. I don't know if I did that in last fiscal year. I don't think so.
I don't think Allison did
report, I
either,
don't
to
know.
be
It is,
honest.
I don't believe we really did one
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
before,
I don't
um,
recall
before
ever seeing
Andy
an
started,
annual
but,
report.
not that, to my knowledge, but we started to do monthly reports that are published,
Mm-hmm.
as well as an annual report, which is on a public record too on our websites.
Yeah,
Okay.
and basically it's a compilation of the monthly
Right.
reports, but I
Okay.
think it'd be good for us that, like he says, the public wants to know their local
know.
museum is doing everything it can to safeguard its collections and the town's
Right,
history,
right.
and that the staff are
Right.
holding themselves to high standards and we're meeting national professional practices. So maybe publicizing that, and kind of, as he points out several times, accomplishing our achievements, acknowledging how far we have to
Something
go,
be
but
very proud of.
acknowledge how far we have come in many of these
Right.
steps. And that could be another good example every year, celebrating the previous year's accomplishments
Mm-hmm.
in a more public way.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Ellen,
Finish,
Sorry?
finish up, Adam. No, Adam, finish.
I was just saying that was pretty much it.
Okay, I was just gonna say, this is just an indicator of the town is maturing. I mean, yeah, Are we 25 now? So yeah, it's time.
And not to cover, and that's kind of been the last couple of years is, to cover ourselves legally as well. So we're trying to do the right thing to put policy in place
Yep.
to cover ourselves from any type of litigation or anything like that that may come about with anything. So, great.
we're still a diamond in the rough, but we're
getting
getting more
there.
Little by
polished.
little. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're growing up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Adam.
You're welcome.
Anything more to report before we go on to member items?
I-
You wanna make mention of maybe Newton Park, cause that still is under our purview?
Yes, I was gonna
Oh,
maybe wait
oh.
until the member's done, but I can do it now.
No, do it
Okay,
now.
Okay.
maybe.
Which I need to possibly have a vote of recommendation or to deny, something in Newton Park, which I think I talked to most of you about last meeting individually. Newton Park, it's still going through the process for the CDB GDR money. We're thinking like July. It actually went out for an RFQ for design, so a company is gonna be looking at that. I think we have 2 weeks left, and then all the companies put in their bids for design, and then we go from there. So it is a big step in the process. So the RFQ is out. We have about 2 more weeks left for the design part of it, and that's not picking a design. That's a designer.
Pick the designer.
Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
we don't. So then we get to
So
put.
it's RFQ, but not RFP.
Correct.
All right.
So we kind of know what it's going to look like from the R2P2. We all liked it, I think, and the community got their input on it, which was great already. We don't have to go through that again. So, but there is a little sliver. I shouldn't say sliver. It's about a 30 by 30 piece. It would sit on basically the Strand View and Estero corner that we have the opportunity to do a fitness court there. I think it would be a great addition to the southish side. I know it's not the true south side, but the way this one gets used out here, I think it would be a great addition to the park. And the nice thing about that is we can render artwork for kind of the back of the wall. So it could be any kind of history that we want to do. It could be anything. So we'd find an artist that would create it.
You're saying this
For-
would be under the purview of a board action item for this project with regard to the artist
Yeah.
by,
I
I
think
mean,
I
from
think
CELCAB.
I think we voted on the R2P2 as the design we want to kind of go with, but this would be in addition to that. And it would sit, if you've
On the
driven
south
by it,
side.
it would sit in the corner between Strandview and where the restroom trailer is right now. That's
Right.
all that.
Okay.
That's
in
all
that
it would
corner.
take.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'd put vegetation around it.
It's
and
the
that stuff,
northeast
so.
corner.
Yeah. So, we have pursued it. We've actually, we're doing the process. I talked to each one of you individually after the last meeting since we lost internet. We couldn't talk about it as a group, but we did receive a grant for it, so, or for a portion of it, so we're just need the okay and we can continue on.
And Jeff, am I correct in saying that it's going to be identical to the fitness center we have, at our
With the
entrance
exception of the wall, which you can't see on the one out here in Bay
here?
Oaks.
Right,
The back of it can have any design that we wanna hire an artist to do, or whatever, however we wanna, procure an artist, that, a local artist if we want, that
do
can.
you have a budget for that? For the local artists to create the work on that?
Yeah, we do have a
wall?
budget for that,
We do.
so,
I
and
mean,
then
the town has a budget to hire an artist.
part of this grant, it's in the budget.
Allowed, okay.
Yes.
The
That's
grant
good.
allows for an
Oh,
artist.
excellent.
So-
How much money is set aside for the artist?
$25.
Total with the artwork is 25, I gotta look.
That's reasonable.
That's good.
That, I mean, that's for the entire thing, I mean, I don't know how much,
I'm assuming that you're talking about a mural.
it basically is a mural, yeah, it's a
Mhm.
printed
Okay,
mural.
and you know,
Great.
there is the
So we
Southwest.
send the
Florida.
artwork to the National Fitness Court, and they put it on. So they don't actually paint it on the thing. We send them a rendering of what we
Oh,
want.
so it could be a digital image.
It certainly could.
It doesn't have to
Could
be
be
a
anything.
mural.
No, it doesn't have to be a mural. It's just an image of any. They
Well,
basically
but a
print it on.
mural, a mural implies
I got you, yeah.
hand-painted
Yeah, not
by an
hand
artist. So
right.
what
Right.
I'm hearing you say is, you're looking and you get the dimensions of that wall, and that's a call that goes out to artists to produce a digital image that they then would produce and apply to the wall.
Yeah, I mean, for all
Okay.
purposes, it could be all your faces.
I was gonna say, good, yeah, that-
Yeah, no, thanks.
So yeah, it can be anything. It's not a painted mural. It's more of
Okay,
a
so
digital.
with the exception of the selection of the artist and the image, and I guess my question is, can we even do a board action because this is not on the agenda? I'd like to be able to do that. So if it pleases all of you
I would too.
and
You
you
can, yeah, you
agree,
can walk
Yeah.
on as the
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this fitness court for the
North-
northwest
Northeast.
corner of Newton Park, for this project.
and I'd like to
Yes.
second.
Very
Second
good.
that.
So I'll make a motion, you wanna second it,
Mhm.
that's Sherry?
Mhm.
You bet.
Any other discussion? Are we all in agreement? The grant's been written, the grant's been approved. We're just
Great.
waiting to give sort of
yeah.
our blessing, which I think we have. Okay.
Look at it
All-
out my window all the time.
Right.
Perfect.
How long do you
All-
think it'll take to put it together?
You mean to get it done?
Yeah.
It'll be part of the CDBGR money, DR money. So as soon as we get that, I think Newton's gonna be one of the first places out of that whole, all those CDBGDR projects to be
Okay.
done. We have at least the visual design that we want. There's not
Like
gonna be.
sometime during the summer or fall. I mean,
Well,
just-
we don't need to time limit
Yeah.
on
Yeah, I
that.
hate to put
No,
timelines.
but I was just
Yeah.
curious.
It's
Yeah.
approximately.
Hoping
Within the
for.
I mean, we're thinking maybe July or August, we actually get the money and then the
Oh,
design.
okay, so I'd say,
I just
So-
say
asking.
fall
Yeah.
would do.
I think it's.
Yeah,
good.
until we get the designer and they can set timelines, I hate to do that, cause then I get emails that people hold me to it.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, so we have a motion, we
No,
have a
that's-
second, we've
Yes.
had, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Thank you.
I was just
Okay,
trying.
The
and,
only
and
other-
I wanna make this statement that, we're approving the fitness court in general, but it still remains, an open question with regard to the artist and the design,
Right.
which can be a future meeting.
Correct, and I wanted to get, obviously, Barbara, with your expertise and your the opinion of here about how we wanna go about going after an artist, putting it out. I don't know if there's a special way, I've never done this before with an artist like this, so.
Last week I was in Tampa to resign from the Florida Association of Public Art Professionals because I said my time is done. I've put in 30 years. I founded a statewide organization. I've been on the board. I said, I'm done. I'm not going to do public art anymore. This is actually a public art project. The devil is in the details.
I agree, and that's why I
Yeah.
brought it here.
Yeah.
I can admit I don't know anything about it, and I know you have a a lot of experience.
Unfortunately, way too much.
Well,
That's
that
good
will.
though.
It's,
That's what we need.
Yeah,
Because as far as the
exactly.
fitness court,
Perfect.
and they work, you know, with private entities, they work with public entities, and they say sometimes people just pick one, or they go out for a process, and I don't know what. Yeah,
well,
If Adam
a
doesn't know, I
process
don't.
can be a statewide call to artists, and then there's just
they
kind
like
of
to,
a,
I mean, yeah, they like to use local artists.
oh, they, okay, it would be an area artist, not
Okay.
necessarily Fort Myers Beach.
They say local. I'd have to read the.
All right,
there's
what
any
does
fine
local
print.
mean in this context?
Well,
Exactly.
There is
Okay,
the,
I'll
Yeah.
find that out.
That would
Yeah.
be a good, because then we have a better parameter.
right.
yeah.
Because if it means that an artist doesn't physically have to paint that mural on that wall, it really can open up all kinds
All
of
kinds of, right,
possibilities.
Mhm.
exactly.
Even a historic photograph, for example, or even maybe photograph of the arches could
Yeah.
also be a
You
consideration.
bet, you bet.
Or maybe
great place.
maybe a
Something of-
photograph of the historic Newton House, the
Yeah.
Seven Seas.
Yeah.
Something along that
Something
line can be
historic.
also
Yeah.
considered.
Yeah, as much as we probably want something
It's
to
to
be
get
a
excited
cultural
about.
thing, it doesn't have to be, but that's what we want because it's that park.
Something,
you know.
yeah.
Something specific
Something
to that
cultural
park, I
too,
would think
yeah.
would be
Yeah.
appropriate.
And
Yeah.
it would be,
I really, that part solidified it for me, that we could have some kind of history on the back, and while people are driving, they'll see it. So-
you bet.
Yep.
Well,
I mean,
another
they're
good idea.
an
Yeah.
interesting possibility is for a photographer to shoot, obviously at a perfect time, which of course is every day in Fort Myers Beach, of the
Nice.
Gulf with the sun going down and the palm trees, and for
We'll
that
get the
image to be
pictures.
digitally transferred onto that wall. So when you're driving down Estero Boulevard, you see that
You see it.
beautiful sunset. Hey, if you park your car here, you get to see it up close and personal. So it's almost like a signage,
Yeah,
indicator, really.
this one is gonna be an exciting project for us to work on, I think.
Yeah,
We'll-
that's great.
Oh,
you know, she'll highlight, you know, either the history or the progress that we've made on this island.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Good.
Thank you.
Yay.
I'll bring that to the next agenda. We'll talk about that, the artist, because
good.
we have
Good.
a few months, but we don't really meet in July, so
That's
we're
right.
gonna get it
That's
Yeah.
good.
And there is
Like
one more
that.
thing with Newton I forgot to mention.
Good.
Beach walks are
Yes.
are returning Fridays at 8 a.m. starting
Ooh.
June 6th.
Okay, and who's conducting it?
Yeah.
Staff right now.
Staff in general, no one specific.
Probably Ashley,
Okay.
because she after
And is
Franklin
8 a.m.
leaves.
Gonna
What
say.
day did you say that was?
Fridays
Fridays.
At 8
at
a.m.
8 a.m. starting June 6th. Not this Friday,
Right,
but starting June 6th. Will be the first beach walk since
Okay.
Hurricane Ian.
fabulous.
And
So-
yeah,
Does
every
Ashley have
Friday.
some marine
Yeah,
background?
Ashley has her master's in, I think it's environmental science. So that's her passion. Her
The
bread and
Great.
point,
pardon.
Gathering point.
Oh yes, the gathering point will be in the parking lot. There are eight parking spots there. So there's the restroom
Oh,
trailer,
no.
and then
Yeah.
there's right where you pull in is the beach access point. So we'll meet right there. So
Great question.
Great.
we can see everything very
Perfect.
centralized.
And that's
So yes,
every Friday?
Yes,
Wow.
every Friday
So,
8 a.m.
Do you have flyers?
Ellen.
So
Yes.
Adam, will there be signage at the park indicating that occurs on Fridays at 8?
We're
Just to
working
let
on it.
people know.
Okay,
And just as a reminder that this is these are requirements through the Florida
Sure.
Trust grant that we
Right.
have, that how we
Oh,
obtained
okay.
Yep, so.
Ah,
I would
These
like-
are, we got a little reprieve, a lot of reprieve since Ian, knowing that there wasn't
Right.
much there, but now that we have it open, that was one thing
Good,
we really wanted
good.
to focus on.
yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd like
That's
to
wonderful.
put
That's
our
very
bulletin
popular.
It'll be a good draw.
in our lobby.
yeah, I was gonna say, let's, like the, observer or places where people can find out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll be
Because they're really popular.
So we're starting
Yes.
to have families
Yes.
come.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have the flyers. We'll just start distributing them in June because the flyers say Fridays. So we don't want to be too premature with someone showing up on
True.
tomorrow. So I know people are really excited, but yes. So in June we'll start distributing the flyers. I'll send them all to you in email. I'll share them with Nicole. So the town will share that on its social media. The Mountain House will share it on its social media. We'll have them available, posted at Mountain House. Hopefully working. I'll have to talk with Jeff. I haven't actually talked to him about it, but maybe like additional features, like a chalkboard so people can like write down the wildlife observations they've had
Oh,
as like
just
an
like
like
they
a
do it,
pop up
yeah, like Fakahatchee.
as a pop up kind of thing.
Yeah.
Especially as the work to build Newton Park continues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe something in the parking lot right there as a continuing feature.
Finally got access to Newton, let's
Yeah.
use it to its full potential that we can at this.
Yeah,
Right.
that's great.
Okay,
Hey,
all right, thank you for the, update on Newton Park and especially that fitness court.
I
And
apologize,
yes,
I'm the one that actually went over the hour.
there you go, I'm just saying, I tried my best.
Don't look at me.
But we are very close, we can start with member items, Carol, since Ellen is up there,
Yeah.
Ellen, you have anything to report?
I think I really provided it when I talked about the plans of moving the Friends of the Mountain House forward, so I don't have anything additional to add to that.
Okay, thank you, and I am sorry you were having problems with your health, but you look great, as usual, so you must be recovering fantastically.
Well, I sure hope so. I certainly hope so.
Well,
I'm working
glad
at
you-
it.
I'm glad
Take
you
it
were able
slow.
to participate virtually, that's a win-win for us all, thank you.
We're glad you're home.
yes, glad you're home.
Me
Yes.
too. Me too.
Yes, indeed.
I
It's a
bet.
long slog.
Oh,
Carolyn,
I have nothing.
nothing,
yeah,
nothing?
and I have nothing.
Okay, I did my thing, so,
Well, I'm just thrilled about all of it.
excellent, great to hear.
Great.
Yeah.
You bet.
All right.
Helen, we were just commenting how your background looks like one of those fake backgrounds that everyone wants to have. It's great.
It's the real deal. And
I know,
here,
that's what I
This
mean.
is what I'm looking at.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah,
what I'm
there you
looking
go.
at.
Yeah, it's
Ah.
beautiful.
It's like an
So
option
this-
you
this-
get during a Zoom meeting, you know, it's like, this could be my
Right.
background.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
Exactly.
winter in
And
Minnesota,
so-
I have this one, so, I love it.
Pin that
That's why it was so
and
nice
Yeah.
to come home, not be looking at beige walls anymore.
Okay, do we have our schedule for next month? I think it's our standard time,
Fourth
Thursday
Thursday.
at
I think
one.
it's the fourth Thursday at 1 p.m. So that would be, it should be added, because in the beginning of the year we made it that, but let me just see
Yeah,
the date.
I like
I'm
that.
sorry, I should always check that
I
in
should
advance,
too.
so I know the
Looking.
date. 18th, does that seem?
What's the date?
There might be an issue.
Oh, yeah, we have a holiday
The fourth
Oh,
Thursday is Juneteenth, which is a federal holiday the town observes.
that
So
day. No,
the
that's the
town,
third.
Oh,
is it?
Third? 1, 2, 3, 4.
it is the third.
Oh,
It is the
CELCAB,
third.
26th.
The 19th. Juneteenth is the third.
Oh,
third
thank you.
Thursday.
26th at 1.
Okay.
26.
Never mind.
26th at
Got
1
it.
is our next meeting, and we do have several items that will be going on the agenda,
Ooh.
obviously. Now we have that fitness court issue, right?
Yeah,
And,
this is-
Artist.
yeah. Okay, oh, yes, and your, report on the underground exhibit
Yes.
is an
And then-
agenda item.
There's still more the map report.
Yes.
Did we want to also have that on the agenda?
Yeah, let's do it.
Might
Another-
as well.
Yeah, we
let's
really,
get it done.
really,
We-
we
Let's get it
kind
done.
of, I've talked to Adam,
Yeah.
like,
It was
I was hoping we had a quorum today, cause I'm like, we really need to get this.
But yeah,
It-
let's
it-
get the
Done.
ball rolling.
it was
Let's-
given to
yes.
us in November.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, we
that's
need to
right.
do it, let's just
Yep.
plow
Even
through
if
it.
it goes a
Let's get it
little
done.
longer, I won't say a word.
Everyone bring snacks. Maybe a
Alright.
meal.
Big snacks.
If
So-
there is no other business to come before CELCAB, I am entertaining a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Thank you. And second?
I'll second.
Second, Sherry, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, so moved. My motion approved, and the meeting is adjourned, and it is 2:12
Ooh.
PM.